Hi there, welcome to Bernie Blackout News. I'm your host, Theo Talcott. Today I'm joined by Kathleen James, who is the Democratic candidate for
Bennington 4.
Bennington 4. Hello, Kathleen.
Hello, Theo.
So Bennington 4, where's that again?
So Bennington 4 is a two-member legislative district that includes Manchester, Arlington, Sandgate, and a little slice of western Sunderland.
Wow.
So, yep, it's a two-member district. We have two seats up in the Vermont House, and I'm running for one of them.
All right. Well, by chance, the media we're making is going to be appearing on Channel 15 and then very radius of pocket of voters. So hopefully you'll
Perfect.
be meeting some of your people that will be going to the polls on November 8th? 16th?
6th?
November 6th.
I should
Who
know
knows?
that
We
date.
should know that. It's
November 6th.
It's only 200 days away.
I'm sure. There's a primary in August, and then the general election is November 6th.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, not like we're looking forward to that or anything. So what made you think that this would be an auspicious year to run for office?
Well, I think like a lot of people, the 2016 election was a big wake-up call for me. As I said in my campaign kickoff speech, which I gave the other night, we had a party at the North Shire Bookstore, which was fantastic, great turnout. But as I said in my speech, and the election was a wake-up call for me because 63 million Americans spoke with their vote, and I didn't really comprehend what they were saying. That was a big signal to me that I needed to really reconnect with politics and with my political values. I had been over the past number of years very focused on my full-time job and on raising my daughters, and I had turned my sights away a little bit from politics, but I'm back.
All right. Well, I know you've been doing some interesting listening circles, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about the meetups you had with the Fed Up Mothers and.
Yeah, the decision to run for me was a really long decision, and one of the things that was most intimidating to me was the thought, the myth, that in order to be an effective legislator, I would have to know everything and have all the ideas and have all the ideas be mine. I'm not sure where I got that idea, but it definitely was a barrier to me in deciding to run. And I realized at some point, I talked to a number of current sitting legislators when I was deciding to run. A lot of women in leadership especially have been really helpful to me. Becca Ballant, the Senate Majority Leader, and Jill Krawinski and Mitzi Johnson up in the House. And in having conversations with them, it became clear to me that, and it was a tremendous relief, that actually I don't need to have all the ideas, that the ideas are out there in our community, and that our community is filled with people who are doing great work, who are experts on issues of interest, who are on the cutting edge, and who have a vision for how our community can move forward and how our community can be better and different. And so I've been trying to structure my campaign around issue groups. So I've been hosting little coffees, trying to meet with people. Had a dinner the other night. The first dinner I had was with my informal green team, I'm calling it. And we're going to be meeting, I hope, regularly. I met with local folks who really are on the cutting edge of establishing a green economy here in Vermont and here in the North Shire. And we filled up 8 pages with ideas about how the North Shire can and should become a hub for sustainable living and for a green economy. And I brought some notes in, but they were talking about green business incubators, maker spaces, a ride-sharing economy, pocket neighborhoods with affordable workforce housing and shared community gardens, workforce training in new industries like solar, weatherization, renewable energy, clean transportation, batteries, adding on to the economy that we already have going here. So you want to support agriculture, you want to support the arts, you want to support value-added food, you want to support small businesses and retail, and then kickstart this exciting new economy that really is the future.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and then I did also meet with Wendy Galbraith of Fed Up Vermont, and I'm hoping to meet with them again as well. And they have an exciting vision for how the North Shire could put in place a kind of a 360-degree network of services and programs for people who are coming out of treatment for opioid or other addiction. So that you, I believe she called it a community recovery campus. So that when people come out of treatment, they're not just left on their own. They're connected to 12-step meetings. They have job training, job placement help, life skills, wellness training, connections to counseling. These are really exciting ideas. And as a legislator, I would see my job as finding these folks, bringing their ideas to the front. So it's a really exciting, for me, the campaign is very exciting because I'm talking to people who, you know, have a vision.
Right. Yes, I hear you. It's such a relief to know that you don't have to understand everything, and you don't have to know about like healthcare policy or, you know, that there's a community to support you that wants to be engaged and has ideas. I think that way of listening to the community is really wonderful. So.
Yeah, it's been fantastic so far, and it's really just beginning. You know, I've been preparing to run for a year, but there are 7 months before the election, and we're moving into high gear now. And so, you know, I'm hoping to pack my calendar with coffees and one-on-ones and small dinners so that people can fill me in about what they're doing.
All right. So if someone wanted to connect with you, where would they find you online and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I brought my little marketing piece.
Kathleen James.
Kathleen James for State
Rep.
Rep. Yep.
So if you're out there and you want to have dinner with her and talk to her about your ideas, you know where to go.
Yep,
Kathleen James for State Rep.
I've got a website. I've just started a Facebook page, also called Kathleen James for State Representative. So you can easily find me on the internet.
Awesome. So do you have like a support network helping you? You have a family to assist you in your efforts?
I do, yeah. My wife, Alex, Alex is my treasurer, and she is putting in a ton of time. It takes a lot of time to be a campaign treasurer. As we've learned, you have to read the campaign finance regulations.
Right, it's like thick as the phone book.
A lot of rules and regs.
Meanwhile, it still seems like a pretty lawless space around in D.C., so maybe they have a lot of laws, whether they follow them.
Well, Vermont's pretty buttoned down.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
well.
It's good. So we already have filed our first campaign finance report, and we've been raising a lot of money. That's the not-so-secret truth. It takes a lot of money to wage a credible campaign, and if you're serious about winning, and I'm very serious about winning. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Alex is helping me out as treasurer, but she's also been incredibly supportive in my decision to run. In the year leading up to me deciding to run, she was my biggest fan and my biggest supporter, and she was the one who kept encouraging me to do it when I kept saying it was too much to take on. It's hard. There are a lot of barriers to running for people who work. It's not an easy decision to make, and it took me a lot of months to figure out how I would make it work with my job.
That's awesome. Well, I know you're a sweetheart, and I'm a fan of her also. So your treasury is in good hands.
Yes,
sure.
it is.
And you have some daughters who are out there in the world.
Yeah, I have two grown daughters. My daughter Bailey lives out in Chicago, and my daughter Bridget is a freshman in college. And the fact that I'm an empty nester is another big reason why I'm able to run now. It would be
got some time.
Yeah, time, and it would be very difficult to serve with young kids at home because you know you're up in Montpelier during the session from Tuesday through Friday. That would be
very difficult.
Yeah, it would be tough. So I have a lot of respect and admiration for the legislators who balance that, because that's a whole nother level. But
right.
I don't have to worry about it. My girls are grown.
That's great.
Yep.
So you were working with Emerge. Tell me about Emerge.
Yeah, Emerge played a really vital role in my decision to run, also in my ability to put on what I hope is going to be a very credible and well-organized campaign. Emerge Vermont is a statewide organization that identifies, trains, and supports women Democrats in running for public office. And They have chapters in, I think, probably 25 states all over the country. And so the Emerge Vermont chapter is very active. And I applied last August for their training program.
Okay.
And it's competitive. You know, I had to write an essay and do an interview, and I was accepted, and had the opportunity to do 6 months of training with women from all over the state who are now throwing their hats in the ring for offices ranging from, you know, the state legislature to town moderator, school board, city council.
This is a national trend that is quite widespread, that a lot of women are running for office this year.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. So, not to sort of say the obvious, but like, what do you think women bring to the table in leadership that might be a good change or we need more of?
Yeah, you know, I read recently a column by John Margolis in Vermont Digger saying that, you know, in his opinion, that Vermont had achieved this sort of post-gender place where women had achieved a parity in Vermont politics, or were close enough, basically, was
Really?
his point of view. Yeah, and you know, I disagree. You know, I can't remember the numbers right now, but I did save the article at home to continue to read because it was inspirational. You know, women do not occupy 50% of the seats in the state legislature here in Vermont. We have a lot of seats, but you know, we certainly haven't achieved parity, and we've never sent a woman to the U.S. Congress. So I think it's important that women run and that women win. And the reason I think that's important is that, you know, being a woman colors your experience in the world. And women do have different, you know, perspectives. We do have different viewpoints. We have a completely different lived experience than men do. And I think it's important that our voices be heard. You know, I think we often are active on issues that impact families. Right. And working families, and I think it's critical that we take our place. Right.
So to your point about the women's perspective on things, like the whole Me Too movement has like come forward, and I think a lot of men just don't really understand how bad it is for people to feel about their safety. You know, like, oh, you're walking home in the dark and might get raped or whatever. It's like, this is in people's minds, and so like the sort of like plague of sexual violence in the country, like if this was a woman-led country, we'd probably have like, you know, better law, or we wouldn't have a backlog of rape kits. I mean, the HBO has a really frightening documentary on about like how poorly the states did at like following up on sexual violence. So there's like a backlog of rape kits, and then they go through them and find, oh, the same person was doing it all these times, and he's still out there because we didn't do our job. So, yeah, you know, I'm hopeful for women to come forward. You know, 90 Muslims are running for Congress this time.
Yeah.
So like unpopular groups, you know, rich white guys who were in corporate America who like now want to go do something with their next phase. So I'm really hopeful anyway for getting more alternative voices in representing us.
Well, and I think if there's you know, from my perspective, I think if there's an incredibly rich silver lining to the 2016 election, you know, I think it opened up, you know, it's a volatile dialogue about what America means and what our values are as a country, but it's an important dialogue. I think it's important that we have those conversations, and it's why I said that the 2016 election was a wake-up call for me, because 63 million Americans spoke with their vote, and I didn't necessarily comprehend what they were saying. You know, we need to be having these conversations as a country, and I think that another silver lining is that people who have typically been underrepresented are deciding to run.
Right.
And it's fantastic.
Right.
So, you know, we have, I believe she's America's first openly trans woman. Christine Hallquist is running for governor of Vermont. That's exciting.
That is exciting.
We need voices from every corner of America and from every group, I think, to be speaking up and stepping up and taking action and running for office.
And she's got good ideas about bringing like fiber optic internet cable to everybody in the state on the power lines.
Yeah, I know that she's that broadband is a really important part of her platform, and I haven't had the chance to meet her yet, but we're hoping to get her over here for a meet and greet. So we will be letting everybody know. We're trying to bring. I'm also the chair of the Manchester Democrats and active at the county level with the Bennington County Democrats, and so we're trying to bring all candidates over to have a chance to meet people and speak their piece.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, what are your plans for you had another 200 days for, anything on your calendar going forward? Are you,
Just a few things. Yeah. So I'm having an open house coming up on Earth Day to start recruiting volunteers. But beyond that, now that the campaign is officially launched, I have my website up, I have my Facebook page up, I have my handouts ready to hand out. Now the even harder work begins, or the more time-consuming work, which is that I need 1,900, 2,000 votes to win a seat in November, and so that means I have 1,900, 2,000 doors to knock on. So we're going to be making phone calls, and we're going to be knocking doors from now until November. I certainly hope there will be some debates or forums. I'm sure that GNAT or the Journal or other local groups will be putting on some forums. We'll be writing letters to the editor to get some perspectives into the Manchester Journal. There's a lot of work to do.
Right on. Well, you seem. I'm excited for you. You look quite ready to go, and
I'm energized.
That's cool. Well, thanks to our guest Kathleen James, and to Ann in the boardroom. Thank you, running the boards, and to GNAT. We have to be the media, because corporate America is not going to tell our stories. We're going to have to be the media. And so we'll look forward to having you back to talk about issues one of these days.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you,
All
Kathy.
right. Thanks, Theo.
Thanks.